The Wonderful World of Darklords. Report D23, the Kingdom of the Sun. I must apologize for the condition of my handwriting. I am doing the best I can to complete my report, but my current state makes it challenging, to say the least. Despite my lack of opposable thumbs, I have found that I can hold a quill if I put on little spectacles and look as officious as possible while writing, so I suppose I must commit to the bit. Yes. About that lack of opposable thumbs, I appear to have been transformed into a llama.
Welcome to Wonderful World of Darklords. I'm Tom.
I'm Rachel.
And we're discussing how to convert Disney movies to Ravenloft domains of dread, even when the Dark Lord is a llama.
A llama? He's supposed to be dead!
Along the way, we'll look at the Dark Lord, the domain itself, and some plot hooks and adaptation ideas to integrate the setting into your own campaign.
Today's episode, The Emperor's New Groove.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Where my 90s kids at? Happy April Fool's Day. So, this is sort of an April Fool's Day episode and sort of not. It is an April Fool's Day episode in that it's not an actual domain. We're not doing the full process. We're not doing the full write-up, anything like that. But it is not what we normally have done with our April Fool's Day episodes.
It's what we did last year with Phineas and Ferb. I think this is going to kind of be the format for April Fool's Day episodes going forward.
Mm-hmm. We are not going to do what we did the first 2 years, which was doing this sort of deadpan, ridiculous prospect like Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Or Cars. But this is going to be our sort of serious suggestions for how to do an adventure in the world of Emperor's New Groove.
Because like with Phineas and Ferb, this is the kind of thing that you would run as an April Fool's session.
Yes.
So that's what we're here to advise you. And we actually, for a while, we were thinking of doing a full episode for Emperor's New Groove. But ultimately, we decided it couldn't quite sustain a full episode. It was on the docket for a while. But when we switched over and did the How to Run an April Fool's episode last year for Phineas and Ferb, we were like, this is perfect. This is what we can do for Emperor's New Groove.
So, I mean, we can give you a write-up, a domain in the world of Emperor's New Groove, with all the information about that world, that sort of like cartoon Incan Kingdom of the Sun Empire,
with
as setting,
ideals, traits, fonts, and flaws for Yzma,
quotes and powers, and but like that's not anything.
Yeah.
That would just be, we were looking through like doing the script outline for the whole episode, and we're like, a lot of this is just, we'd just be treading water, we'd just be kind of wasting time. Like the good stuff, the stuff that's really here, the stuff that's running a session not in the world of the Emperor's New Groove, but running a session in the cosmos.
Yes.
In the universe of the Emperor's New Groove, in the logic of the Emperor's New Groove. That's what we can give you.
Yes, because really what y'all are here for, like, doing Yzma as the Dark Lord, like, there's nothing that we can give you that you can't do yourself. There's not very much there. But the really exciting thing here is running an Emperor's New Groove style adventure, both in terms of people getting turned into llamas and Looney Tunes logic.
Yes, cartoon logic. And we'll kind of get into detail on that later in the biggest part of the episode, which is the running an adventure setting. But first, we're just going to like do that box checking, the kind of stuff that would have been the briefest, just for form's sake, the briefest touch on those other components of our normal domains, our normal episodes. And we'll start that box checking with a box.
Well, are we going to put them in a box?
Yeah.
And put the box in another box? And then we have the box to ourselves?
And then smash it.
With a hammer!
And in that box will be a section we like to call
The Lord. The Lord. My troubles began shortly after I arrived at the palace, former home of the late unlamented Emperor Kuzco, and now home of his erstwhile advisor, Yzma. Yzma's henchman, Kronk, was a sweet, if dull-witted fellow, and I found myself frustrated by Yzma's treatment of him. She constantly belittled and abused him, and yet he continued to serve her with absolute devotion. The poor man genuinely seemed to believe that she was capable of feeling affection for him, and that his fidelity would someday be rewarded. This seems like it should lead to a moment of self-reflection. Why start now? At any rate, when I met with Yzma, she invited me to stay for dinner. Over some truly delicious spinach puffs, she told me that Kuzco had been murdered by a demon llama and asked me for my help in bringing the contemptible camelid to justice. I declined, informing her that while I wished her luck in her endeavors, such an undertaking would detract from my ability to write a report. Yzma seemed to accept my refusal and toasted my health, at which point, well, llama. She told me that she would turn me back to my true form only when I brought her the demon llama, who was, in fact, Emperor Kuzco. This is the stupidest domain I've ever been to.
So, yeah, right now doing a full door.
Yeah, because when we did Phineas and Ferb...
we did a full doof.
We did a full Doofenshmirtz section because part of the joy there was doing Dr. Doofenshmirtz as the Dark Lord. Like, it wasn't just having it be in the world of Phineas and Ferb and doing the Swiss Watch of a Phineas and Ferb episode, although that was a big part of it. But I feel like here, again, the joy is playing in a world that goes on Emperor's New Groove logic and Emperor's New Groove humor. And even, like, when we were thinking about doing the Lord... especially when we were thinking about adventure set in Emperor's New Groove, we realized we don't even know which of these two we want to be the Dark Lord. Because, like, little spoiler from when we talk about Adventures to Run here, we were talking about doing an escort quest with Kuzco. Like, Yzma's the Dark Lord, and you have to, take Kuzco back to the castle and turn him into a human. Your PCs are going to kill Kuzco.
Yeah, Kuzco is so annoying.
Like, you could just as easily have it be that Kuzco is the Dark Lord. And your PCs kill him and it's so that Yzma takes over as the Dark Lord instead. Like, it's really a coin flip which of these two you want to be Dark Lords. And, like, I don't feel like they can sustain a co-Dark Lord thing long enough. No. Plus, that means that you're locking in that Kuzco can't be redeemed, so you're not... Again, that's not what you're here for. You can decide for your party whether they'd rather tangle with Dark Lord Yzma or Dark Lord Kuzco or both.
And it'll be easy enough for you to come up with the active ultimate darknesses, what the sort of torment is, Kuzco's a llama. Yeah. Yzma knows that Kuzco's a llama and still alive, like, whichever. Yeah. And come up with your role-playing trait, ideal, pawns, and flaw, which would give you an excuse to go, like, read quotes from Emperor's New Groove and laugh.
Because, like, regardless of which one you have as the Dark Lord, we're going for the same status quo, which is our usual kind of, like, 20 minutes into the movie. Kuzco's a llama, maybe he's the Dark Lord from his torment, so he's the llama, and he's being punished for his ways. Or maybe Yzma's the Dark Lord and her torment is that she can't find Kuzco. Either way, that's what's going on. Kuzco's wandering around lost. Yzma can't find him. Maybe Pacha's with him, maybe not. If he's the Dark Lord, probably not, because we want him to be alone and suffering for his sins. If Yzma's the Dark Lord, then maybe Pacha's helping to hide him. But, like, Pacha's the only, like, moving part of the status quo. Other than that, 20 minutes into the movie.
Box checked! Now let's talk about that second box we are just blowing through, checking. And that is a section we like to call...
The Land. The Land. My search for Kuzco gave me ample time to explore the domain. Not that there was much to explore. There's a palace, and a jungle, and a village with lovely sun exposure, and a restaurant that serves giant bugs. This place is nothing, Jensen!
So, there is not, in Emperor's New Groove, like, anything for a setting, other than the cool, like, Inca Mesoamerican aesthetic. But this is up there with, like, Snow White, or some of your classic, like, Disney fairy tales, which there's, like, nothing for this setting. There's the palace, Pacha's village. That's everything. The meat hut, yes, Mucka's meat hut. That is literally the entirety of this kingdom that we see. Is there any kind of politics, faction, anything? No, that's stupid. Now, if you want a full setting, it is worth looking into the original plan for this movie when it was called Kingdom of the Sun, and it was going to be a much more, like, serious, sort of very Lion King-esque movie.
Man, what a alternate reality that is.
And there's I believe you can go put the link in it too. I think there is a Wikipedia page where they kind of give you a breakdown of what the story would have been. It's a lot. To quote the YouTube show Secret Galaxy episode about this, it's a lot of characters doing a lot of things.
You can find on YouTube. We're not going to link to it because by the time we link to it, it's going to have been copyright pulled already and it'll be somewhere else. But you'll be able to find it. It just vanishes and pops up again. There's a documentary called The Sweatbox that was Sting's wife, is like an amateur documentarian. And she got to do like behind the scenes documentary stuff, but it was really not flattering to some of the Disney people. But it gets into a lot of like the making of stuff for, and there's a lot going on in that movie. Yeah. Like, there's a Prince and the Pauper thing.
Yeah, and a God of Darkness. And
Kuzco still gets turned into a llama.
Yes.
And
there's two love interests Kuzco and Pacha.
Kronk isn't there yet, which is a crime.
Yeah.
Like, Yzma wants to blot out the sun because, like...
She blames it for making her old.
Okay.
Yes, because she blames...
I was trying to figure out how the sun related to her wanting to be young and beautiful.
No, exactly. She blames the sun for making her old, so...
Yep. But in Rapunzel, the flower came from the sun, and so I think the She Mother Gothel could like really have a thing going.
Share beauty tips. So, yeah, it's interesting. This could be some fun. Like if this could give you a full like kingdom with more settings and more fleshed out stuff. There's got some neat stuff with Yzma. She was like the royal undertaker, and she's sort of a necromancer. Like she has mummy minions, so that's fun. And the number one thing this I think could be useful for would be a twist. Would be like your players come through the mist, Incan architecture, they hear about an emperor named Kuzco, but then it's like, oh, surprise, it's actually like sort of a more serious, like plotty fantasy story. There's like dark gods being raised, or being freed from their imprisonment to blot out the sun. It's actually could be very D&D-able story.
Yes.
But I think that's a very obscure thread. Our main focus, as we said, we've kind of done our box check the Lord, box check the land, and now we can get into the meat of this, the whole point we are here, the meat hut of this. That is, of course, this question. Rachel, what do you do with it?
Dread possibilities. After some time scouring the jungle, I was able to obtain the aid of a squirrel who harbored a grudge against Kuzco, and it led me to a field where the Emperor was brooding. My initial reaction was to enlist his help against Yzma, but I discovered in short order that he was so arrogant and boorish as to make Yzma seem pleasant in comparison. I have no idea why I would choose to yoke myself to someone so infuriatingly self-centered. I was unable to make the gestures necessary for most of my spells with my useless two-toed llama feat, but thankfully, vicious mockery does not require them, and I taunted Kuzco into unconsciousness. I've dragged him most of the way to the palace. I had to use my mouth to do so. He tastes disgusting. I look forward to bringing him to Yzma and...
Oh my morning, Lord. You're not just gonna take him to Yzma, are you?
Wait, Sailor Star? Are you my shoulder angel?
Yeah. How many times are we gonna have to have a conversation about not letting yourself get bossed around by ancient withered jerk faces of magical laboratories?
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Kuzco's one of the most annoying people we've run into over the past 4 years. Why are you showing up for him? I really could have used a shoulder angel in Wonderland, you know.
You got me instead.
How are you my shoulder devil? Didn't they kill you? Is this like foreshadowing that you're still alive, or...
Oh no. You killed the hell out of me. I'm super dead. The April Fool's Day episodes are never canon. Hey! She killed me too! Twinsies!
I did not. You willingly sacrificed yourself. They can re-listen to Sailor Moon if they don't believe me. I've made a lot of questionable decisions, but don't go putting that one on me.
Ignore her, Danielle. Take Kuzco to Yzma. She's purple, and Kronk has a giant chin. Submitting to them will be the first step in your journey to our father. Lawful evil nonsense. We're the pretty guardian who fights for love and for freedom, not the pretty guardian who fights for utilitarian consequentialism and for Malthusian theory.
You know what utilitarian consequentialism and Malthusian theory are?
I was a history professor, remember? I have layers. Next, she's probably going to tell you to make nice with Aslan. No, absolutely not. He is just the worst. Thank you! Right? He's all, my ways are secretive and I plan from deep within the shadows. So it's cool I didn't notice you getting tortured for 9 months, right? Remember when she went to Darkon? Woe is me. I imply that I'm going to do terrible things to your family, and then you don't want to be my friend. My father never gets that maudlin in front of the help. It's tacky.
Guys? Weren't you supposed to be trying to convince me to do something?
Why? You never listen to us anyway.
But, oh, hey, he got away while you were arguing. That's great. That's just great. Thanks.
Well, that solves that problem. Hugs and kisses! Shalvanos!
Why is this my life now?
I want adventure in the great wide somewhere.
And we got there fast.
All right, so this is what we're here for. This is we sat down to record this, to tell you, to communicate to you, and I hope this is the thing you are eager to hear about. And that is the idea of running an Emperor's New Groove game and running a game in basically the chassis.
Sorry, I just realized, I was just thinking ahead to doing the timestamps, and people are going to look at the timestamps and think that it's a gag.
Yeah.
No, it's not a gag.
The Lord, 30 seconds. Go ahead, 30 seconds. 68 seconds. So, taking that chassis of 5e, Dungeons & Dragons, and finding some way to do that as the rule set for a very silly, very chaotic, very Looney Tunes type story and type world.
And there is, before anyone mentions in the comments, we are aware
Yes.
there is a system called Tune.
Yes,
that's all
actually,
about this.
As of recording, there's a Kickstarter running for a new edition.
Oh, good for them.
Yes, you can find the old edition very easily, very cheaply. It goes way back.
I'm sure there is stuff from Tune that you could plunder for these ideas, but we're here to tell you how to do it in 5e specifically without having a whole other extra supplement. Like,
Yes.
if you're a patron, you heard our whole rant
Yes.
when we were in the final chapter of the Nightmare Lands Book Club of Dread about Tom had this thing where he was looking for tips on how to do Looney Tunes style stuff for D&D to see if we had to reinvent the wheel here. And he went
Some
on...
DMs go done like, Bugses and bunnies.
Yeah. So, like, he went on to a Facebook D&D
Right.
group. It was like, hey, do you have any tips for how to do Looney Tunes in 5e? And everyone was like, just run Tune.
Just run
and
Tune.
he's like, that's not the question I was asking.
but-
I'm asking about 5e.
Right. Cool. That's a non-response. That's premise rejection.
So we
You're
are
rejecting
here
my premise.
to tell you how to run Looney Tunes in 5e.
Yes. Plus, just
Unlike
like
Facebook.
Yes, gosh. Plus, just like we are imagining this is a perfect thing. You're running a Ravenloft game, especially if you're running like a Disney-inflicted Ravenloft game, using some of our material maybe, then as an April Fool's episode, as a joke session.
Yes.
Running this Emperor's New Groove. You know what? That's not going to work to be like, for this April Fool's joke session, we are pulling on a new system. So as we mentioned, our status quo is about 20 minutes into the movie. We have Cusco's a llama. Yzma's trying to find him to kill him. Go. Because that is an amazing narrative engine.
Yes.
Because that is Tom and Jerry. That is Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny. That is just, you could
Wile E.
have
Coyote, yeah.
episode after episode after episode after episode after episode of that. And you just need to figure out how you are going to get the PCs involved in that dilemma. And we have a couple possibilities. I remember this was your idea.
Yes, maybe, again, especially if you know the PCs are going to hate Cusco, maybe they get hired by Yzma to go after Cusco.
Yes.
So you could be basically the Yzma and Kronk in this situation. And that way, again, if you know that your players really hate Cusco, then they get to catch him and beat the tar out of him.
Right.
They enjoy that.
Or if you know your PCs love Yzma, which who among us doesn't, or even this could be a really fun... sometimes it can be very fun to do that sort of out of character, in character, like disjunction.
Yes.
So I remember we were running, we've mentioned a couple of times, the Changeling the Lost Gotham City Batman game. And there's one point where they're like, this character needs to, come talk to Batman, and this character needs to talk to Bruce Wayne. And we were imagining the, 1966 Batman where he has the two phones. Like, when he's talking to Commissioner Gordon and talking to someone else as Bruce Wayne. And they were, oh, wow, it sure is crazy that Batman was busy when we were trying to talk to Bruce Wayne, kind of thing. And to do something fun of, wow, this Yzma lady seems really great.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Totally on the up
this
and up.
evil demon llama she wants us to hunt sounds terrible. Oh, wow, he murdered that poor Emperor Cusco.
Llama murdered Emperor Cusco.
He's a demon llama who murdered the Emperor.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So that could be a lot of fun. And You could have it be that, yes, if they hate Kuzco, they could just go and beat up Kuzco, or then that gives you that sort of fun twist that I think could be enjoyable to do that out of character and character junction of, like, they meet Pacha, they meet Kuzco, they learn the truth, they learn they're in a Shadowrun game.
Yes, she's the Mr. Johnson.
You could also do something interesting. I know this is something, Rachel, you were bringing up a lot, which is that part of that core experience, I think, to have a satisfying Emperor's New Groove adventure is going to be having somebody turned into something.
Yes.
Maybe even specifically a llama.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this. Like, the main thing that we had discussed here was the possibility that, like, somehow Kuzco gets hold of Essence of Llama and, like, turns one of the PCs into a llama so that Yzma's going after them instead of him.
Right.
But actually, I was this is live beat.
Maybe.
Actually, I thought about this, I think, yesterday, and forgot to tell you about it. That there's the whole classic, like, Lamortia setup. Or it was also, Azulin did something similar to this in one of the OG mods, where, Victor Mordenheim puts you into, like, construct bodies, and you have to do a favor for her, and then she'll put you back into regular bodies. You can have it be that Yzma turns the PCs into animals, and she'll turn them back into humans if they get Kuzco. So you could have all the PCs get turned into llamas.
And then finally, and we've been treating this as, its own domain. It's the Kingdom of the Sun. It's kind of Mesoamerican Incan inspired. It's got its own, like, empire. But you could take this core idea. And this is what the great thing about focusing on the sort of physics of the world and not the domain. You could take this core idea and have it as your April Fool's Day session in another domain.
Yes.
If just you run a session where suddenly everything's operating on silly Emperor's New Groove rules.
Yes, I remember we thought of this because Village Lich, who writes for Azulin, mentioned that they ran a session at one point there was like a joke session where basically Azulin was Kuzco, just basically doing as with Kuzco's personality, which made me think of the, like, holy potatoes. You could have a session where Strahd gets turned into a llama.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, the PCs have to turn him. But, like, Barovia will fall apart and everyone in Barovia will die.
Or, like, the domain will collapse. Implode on itself and collapse metaphysically if you don't unllama Strahd.
So the PCs are stuck being the Pacha, escorting Strahd back to Castle Ravenloft.
This moody jerk. Moody, bossy jerk. Who gives dramatic speeches about how, like, devour your soul as a llama.
And if you do that, actually, speaking of Azulin, it works perfectly for him to be the Yzma here.
Yes!
That he's the one who turns Strahd into a llama. Like, especially, it weirdly syncs up perfectly. There was the period where Azulin was in Barovia and he was a Strahd's court wizard.
Yes!
So he could just straight up be Yzma.
But who would be Azulin's Kronk?
Skeever, obviously.
Oh, obviously, yeah. Right. So, yes, that's the great thing is, if you're like, I just want to do my Emperor's New Groove session for Curse of Strahd, you could have Strahd as Kuzco.
Yes. Lisivon Zarovich also makes a great Yzma.
So, if you decide to do, however, the Kuzco and Yzma's characters in their own domain, and I think this is a critical thing, we're going to get into sort of the how to do the jokes, how to do the comedy, how to, like, do the rules of this universe. But first, it's worth remarking on, I think, a thing not to lose sight of is the emotional core.
Yes.
That's part of why this movie works so well, is it's got such a good emotional core and a good story. I remember I watched a YouTube video, and was talking about the problem of a Looney Tunes movie. And it was that the Looney Tunes are, like, so purely gag-driven that it's kind of hard to sustain that in a movie. And, like, this is kind of one of the most successful Looney Tunes movies.
Yeah.
Because it's got all the sort of Looney Tunes cartoon silly gags, but it's got that emotional core of Kuzco and Pacha and watching Kuzco's growth and their friendship and Pacha's goodness kind of melting Kuzco's heart. So, when you have a big scene with the PCs or with NPCs or whoever, then it should end with a shift in the relationship status. If you think about, like, watching Emperor's New Groove, every, like, big scene when Kuzco and Pacha are together ends with a shift in their relationship status. And so it goes up or it goes down. You could use reputation as that metric. So it could be like, Cusco has this certain reputation score that your PCs need to get to, and then, like, he's sort of become a good guy. And you could also do a thing where, once again, it's not necessarily Cusco who, like, if you're doing that sort of turn into a llama story, maybe even an NPC that's, like, with the group. Or even one of the PCs that has kind of a stormy relationship with some of the others gets turned into a llama. And
I'm sure all of you who are currently in a game know exactly which PC in your party would turn into a llama.
Would be the Cusco.
Yes.
Who's the Cusco of the group. And then the nice thing is here, it's not just a silly slapstick gags and Looney Tunes. It's like, no, this session is kind of designed to be all that, but then use that to sort of work on that relationship, to sort of thaw that relationship. And if it is, of course, PCs, then that's going to be a purely role-playing thing. But either way, it should have that rule of thumb of every big scene should end with a change in the relationship, either going up or going down.
Yeah.
And if you're doing an NPC, either Cusco or like one of your own NPCs, I really think a good system might be using the loyalty optional rule from Chapter 4 of the 2014 DMG. And that is like you have a hireling, basically, and they have a loyalty score, and every time the PCs like treat them well or treat them badly, it goes up by D4 or down by 1d4. So it's that nice, like, they don't know what it is, and they don't know exactly how. Like, you can't predict, like, well, we were nice to them 3 times, so we can be a jerk to them 3 times, and it balances out. Like, no, it is this kind of interesting, you don't quite know what their feelings are. So that could be a good meter for, like, pacing the story of being, like, when it gets to a particular number, like it gets to 10. I know in the rules in the DMG, if it gets to 10, it's like, now they'll risk life and limb for you. The max it can go is the PC who has the highest charisma score. Their charisma score, that's the max it can go. Something like that could even be a nice pacing guide for, like, okay, once Cusco hits loyalty 10, like, we trigger the climax. We, like, get to the end game. We have that kind of final showdown with Yzma, and that's my clue that the sort of journey and the growing in a relationship, it's kind of reached its end point. And now we can have sort of the end point to the plot. And so, yeah, that climax, it could be an obvious one is trying to turn Cusco back, or turn the PC or NPC back. It could be foiling, if you like Cusco Permanent Llama, if you like Emperor's New Groove 20 minutes in forever. Then it could be like Yzma has some kind of evil plan to do something evil.
Or maybe she's sending somebody else after Cusco, and you, like, foil them, and you get Cusco off hanging out with Pacha's village. Like, he's just, you know, he's Pacha's pet llama for a while. It's cool.
It could be that if you are on team hashtag Yzma did nothing wrong, that is the delivering. Like, that's the sort of, you deliver Cusco to Yzma, and that's kind of your climax. One, I think, really good status quo change I think a lot of parties would find very rewarding would be flipping Kronk.
Yes.
Would be like, no, like, it's still sort of Tom and Jerry, like, Elmer Fudd and Bugs, Yzma chasing Cusco forever. But, like, you've brought Kronk over to the light side of the force.
Yes. The path of righteousness, not the path that rocks.
That rocks. Yzma is the path that rocks.
And as mentioned, like, Cusco's a real challenging NPC to get along with. And, like, maybe you could have Pacha there to smooth it over.
Yeah.
You could, like, honestly, if you're on Team Yzma did nothing wrong, Cusco's the worst, like, honestly, your PCs may consider it a win to have Pacha give up on it.
To be like, this guy is awful, and I'm not wasting he's not worth my time. He's literally not worth my time.
Or conversely, it might be a thing where, like, they decide they're going to help Cusco for Pacha's sake. But I feel like bringing Pacha in with Cusco is going to be the thing that makes your PCs care about Cusco. Whether it's to, like, you know, see the good in him or hate him even more.
Yes, absolutely. Like, that's, I think, going to be an important element, however you want this to go, or however, like, your PCs organically decide to take this.
Yes.
Then you can use Pacha to sort of steer that. And if you want to have one of your own NPCs kind of get turned into a llama, be the Cusco, this could be a way to do that kind of arc and make them more sympathetic.
Yeah.
Like, just have this sort of horrible experience and then have them, like, stop. This is the kind of experience that, like, the PCs, since it made Cusco not be a jerk, it can make your NPC not be a jerk in a very believable way.
It's just making me think of Christmas Carol when we were talking about potential Scrooges. And, like, Escher is the Cusco. Doesn't realize Strahd's the one who turned him into a llama. To get rid of him and make room in his harem for Tiana.
So, that's the sort of idea of the emotional core, the overall kind of shape of the adventure. Most of it, we have like a beginning point, and then we have kind of an end point. But that middle is mostly going to be bits.
Yes.
And hopefully those bits are going to, as we said, shift the emotional relationship. Like, if you watch Emperor's New Groove, it's a really well-made movie.
It is.
It's never just, like, a bunch of funny stuff happens. It's always a bunch of funny stuff happens, and it shifts Cusco and Pacha's relationship.
Yeah.
It either, like, brings it up or brings it down, or makes Pacha angry at Cusco, or makes Cusco angry at Pacha, or, like, something. And that's what's going to help this not just be, like, gag, is it does shift this relationship with Cusco or the Cusco analog in your game. But for those gags, for sort of the heart of the thing, here are some ideas we have for taking these 5e rules and adapting them for a more Emperor's New Groove style flavor. So the first of those rules ideas we have is that you should definitely be using inspiration.
Yeah.
That's kind of the closest thing D&D has to like a story points system, and this is a very story logic setting. Like if you're not kind of evoking story logic, in this case Looney Tunes logic, is not going to feel right. And I think that you should use an inspiration pool system, because it's not just the sort of one inspiration per player, because you want to reward your players for doing things that are funny.
Yes, and being as Looney Tunes as
possible. You don't want to put like a barrier of like, no, you do one thing. Do one funny thing, and then use your inspiration, then do another funny thing. You want as much funniness, the density of gags is part of what makes this movie so great.
Yes.
And it's just comedy. That's what you want. And one of the things is like something funny happens, and the great thing is it can be funny if the other people in the setting, presumably your PCs, if they like accept the silly funny thing happening or if they don't.
Yes.
So like in the diner, Kronk's suddenly the chef, and Yzma's like, okay, like make my potatoes a salad. Like just is not like questioning that this, the chef got mad and put his stew bowl and all his pots and pans in his suitcase and put his hat on and stormed off, and now Kronk's the chef. On the other hand, in the secret lair, in the confrontation, you have this scene where Kronk's talking to his shoulder angel, his devil angel, and then it cuts to Yzma and Cusco and Pacha kind of looking at him confusedly, and Yzma's shrugging.
Yes.
So that's the thing. That's the great thing. Either of those is a funny reaction.
Sidebar, one of my favorite gags is it gets me every time when someone bursts into a musical number and everyone around them acts the way you would act if someone burst into a musical number in real life.
Yes.
Like Shiny or the Tex Richmond song.
Richmond song, yes. Just, why is this person singing and dancing? And you have the inspiration. Obviously, you can use it for the normal, like giving advantage on the roll. But I also think it should be something that in this setting you can use to do like Looney Tunes stuff.
Yes.
To do like you're pulling bigger and bigger hammers out of your pocket, just in manifesting them into space. Or like you can travel by map. You can be like, we need to get from here to here, so let's travel by map. Let's have just the map up here, and then the dots move across it.
Speaking of Looney, real quick, dear listeners, Binks does have the zoomies.
Yes.
We're not going to do anything about it because at least right now he's not bothering Coraline.
Yes,
so our long-suffering elder cat. So
if you hear kitten stuff, it's just kitten stuff.
Yes.
Or like we could have a funny thing where it's like the DM does something as the narrator, and then they'll like pay an inspiration, like they can hear the narrator talking.
Yes.
Like, wait, they're right behind us? And like have a little side conversation with the narrator.
Or that, I think the version of that, because the GM, he's not going to be the narrator in a, like,
right.
He's not going to be saying things that PCs don't know. I think the way to do that would be, like, if he has them roll perception and everyone fails, you can spend inspiration and be like, wait, guys, I have the funny feeling of being watched. Like, as long as you do it in a funny way.
Yeah. Or even like like have your PCs say, wait a minute, guys. We all just rolled perception.
Yes!
And none of us rolled very high. So I think we gotta watch out. And like sort of like flip the roll that way, in that funny way.
Yes.
Of like having the characters break the fourth wall and point out that the DM just asked them to roll perception.
Yes.
And they all got 10s. You could, if you really want to kind of use inspiration as a more story point, you could even have that kind of ebb and flow of like, when the PCs spend inspiration, the DM gets their own little inspiration pool that they can spend to do stuff like have Kronk and Yzma defy logic and appear in the lab. Like they get here before us. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Or like that the GM can do stuff like that, but if they do, they have to award the player's inspiration.
Yes.
Like if you've ever played like Cortex or anything, you know the kind of thing we're talking about.
So then we were talking about for a while, I think conditions are a huge thing to see.
Yes.
Because I think conditions modeled a lot of times sort of the failure or consequences you would see in a cartoon like Looney Tunes. So things like restrained unconscious, incapacitated, blinded, frightened, those are very much the things that happen to those characters. There's not so much physical combat. But Rachel's pointing out that, no, the hit point system actually can, from a certain point of view, fit this story very well. Yeah,
because it's a thing, I don't remember if we mentioned it in the Home Alone episode or not, but every year I think of this when we watch Home Alone at Christmas time, is that Home Alone is a perfect modeling of the hit point system, because Harry and Marv are completely fine until they're unconscious. Right. And then once they're up again, they're totally fine again.
Marv hits Harry in the ribs full force with a crowbar. Mm-hmm. And then he just, jumps up and gets back to it.
Yeah.
But then there are, 2 hit points left, and then Old Man Marley double taps him with his nose shovel, and then they're unconscious. Mm-hmm.
And it's a similar kind of thing with the Emperor's New Groove or with Looney Tunes in general.
Yeah.
That, you can get banged up all the heck, and you'll have, cartoon black eyes and stars and bandages and missing teeth.
Yeah.
And then eventually you'll get KO'd and, fall down and have stars spinning around your head and be out. But then, you get up again and you're fine.
Yeah.
Because Home Alone basically is a Looney Tunes movie.
Right.
So...
And, the big thing here is it should be, with that cartoon logic, you're never out for more than a scene.
No.
0 hit points, either is you get a condition, and it might be unconscious, it might be you get hit on the head and a giant lump rises and you have little birds tweeting around and then you get passed out.
Yeah.
It might be something like restrained. Might be something like you're frightened, but then the next scene, as soon as sort of the camera cuts, you're fine. You're back to full.
It's a condition that just incapacitates you for the scene, and it might be because, again, you've got the big lump on your head, or because you're just cowering, or whatever.
So in this case, hit points is just a way to track sort of failures in the kind of encounter that then go down to some kind of condition. Mm-hmm. It's not damage. It's not physical, being stabbed and blood is coming out. It is just, this is the tracker as a scene is going on, as they're being attacked by jaguars, and then they're falling into a river, and then they're this.
Bats are flying into their face.
Bats are flying into their face. Scorpions are falling on their necks. And this is just a way to track what's sort of the end of this scene and the negative thing then that happens. So you could even have that. Yeah, they have this whole scene with the jaguars. They fail, and then they end up with the restrained condition tied to the log.
Yeah.
Or we could even look at this as there's this whole scene with Yzma in Pacha's house, and she has this massive failure. She's losing sort of hit points as they've set up this whole thing where she's roller skating down the hill, getting stuff happening, and she ends up with the restrained condition as a chicken, as a piñata.
And that's we were talking about the possibility of the PCs can choose to inflict conditions on NPCs. Mm-hmm. And, you mentioned spending inspiration to do Looney Tunes things.
Right.
And that might actually be a good way to model that. It's if they roll a natural 20 or if they spend inspiration, then they can choose to have their opponent be restrained or blinded or whatever.
Right.
Do some kind of goofy Looney Tunes nonsense.
And then one other potential consequence for failure, it's not necessarily hit points or conditions, is time. Mm-hmm. That there's some kind of time element, chase element, and the failure could be that they lose time. Mm-hmm. So, a big example, you have this big falling out on this bridge, and now, he says, now it's going to be 4 days to get to the palace, and the bridge is destroyed. So, that's a failure. Now it's going to be 4 days to get to the palace. That, does some stuff that makes things easier for Yzma, and that doesn't stop the story from moving forward. It's not the bridge is destroyed, okay, you're just out of luck.
Yeah.
It's the whole, no, now you've got to have this 4 days to get to the palace, which lets me, I'm going to roll 4 more Yzma encounters. And that is a sort of final point we want to make about this. And it's not necessarily a rules thing as much as a sort of DMing encounter philosophy, which is that in all the scenes, you have escalation. Mm-hmm. Right? Even that thing we mentioned where the jaguars, and they're sleeping, and there's the squirrel, and the squirrel pops the balloon, the jaguars are attacking him, and then this, and then Pacha swings on the vine and misses, and then like comes back, and then they hit the thing, and it rolls around and ties them up, and the log falls in the river. It's just, like, roles should escalate the scene.
Yeah, whether they succeed or fail.
Whether they succeed or fail, even a failure should move the scene forward, but with new complications or problems.
It might actually be fun to have the PCs, if they succeed, describe how they escalate the scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
That, like, it should never be, there's no scene in Emperor's New Groove where it's like, there are goblins, and we stab the goblins, and the goblins stab us. And we just, like, keep doing that till one of us is dead. It's always like, stuff is happening, and that is changing the situation, and that is escalating the problem. So you could have things like, when he swings on the rope, and he's like...
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah,
Cat's getting
things just
tangled
getting
up
crazy,
Yeah, sorry, guys.
And then he, like, swings, and, like, Cusco's mouth is stuck in the cave, and the bats wake up and fly out into his mouth. And, like, these are failures, but it's not like, you know, when Pacha swings by and misses Cusco, it's not like, well, you just missed Cusco. It's like, no, you get to, like, swing back and grab Cusco, but this escalation happens that makes things worse. That adds a new complication.
And, like, mechanically, it might even just be the best fly into Cusco's mouth and do some piddly, like, 1d4 damage or whatever. You're going to want to reflect this mechanically. The big thing here is going to be flavor text.
Yes. Or even, like, you know, Kronk cuts the thing to drop the chandelier on Yzma, and presumably makes some kind of, like, knife attack, or, like, dexterity-based roll, and fails. But the DM doesn't say, like, oh, no, you don't cut the rope. Like, no, the rope's too thick. It's like, no, he cuts the rope, but the chandelier falls, and it just falls around Yzma.
Yeah. Like a thing always happens.
A thing always happens, and it's never just no. It's never just like, no, nothing happens. A thing always happens, and it escalates the situation. And a good thing might be something from the really good Doctor Who RPG, where you sort of have the yes and yes but, no and no but, where you could have, like, a fail is the chandelier falls around Yzma, and then rolling a 1 might have been the chandelier hits Kronk.
Yeah, I'm sure, and people listening to a D&D podcast, there are plenty of you who are writers out there. And this is from Jack Bickham's Scene and Structure originally, and then Doctor Who took it, and I was so happy. That, like, your scenes... You should always have the character goes into the scene with a goal, and do they accomplish the goal? And if it's just yes or no, that's kind of boring. It's much more interesting to have it be yes and, yes but, no but, or no and. And if you're, talking about writing rather than GMing, then you don't want yes and until the very end, because you don't want your characters to be succeeding that well, but PCs can. And in Emperor's New Groove especially, you want it to be the and or the but, something silly happens.
And finally, speaking of silly things, and the not being goblins stabbing each other, there's no point in an Emperor's New Groove or Looney Tunes that is a classic, like, fight for a fight's sake.
Yes.
It's never like there is a bad guy, and they have to physically disable that bad guy, and that's the whole point of the scene.
Like, they never fight the guards.
Yes.
Even the guards are after them. They never fight the guards.
And you could have situations where you can imagine, like, swinging a rolling pin around and, like, bashing the guards on the head and knocking them unconscious. But that's never, like, the whole point.
Yes.
That's never the only point of the scene is, are they going to win the fight or not?
Like, the closest thing to a fight scene that there is in the whole movie is between Cusco and Pacha when they're swinging back and forth on the vines.
Yes, on the vines. And so most of your fight scenes should be more chases with fights mixed in. So you could imagine they're, like, running from the guards and occasionally smacking them with, like, rolling pins and knocking them unconscious. And there should always be another goal. A fight scene should be a complication in a scene that's about a bigger goal. So, like, chasing the vial or escaping the jaguar. They don't fight the jaguars. They're not, like, punching the jaguars. It's no, our goal is just to escape these jaguars. And then stuff escalates.
And, like, if you have a bunch of martial characters, you've got your barbarian and your fighter and whatever, and you want to give them something to do, then having the fight be a thing that's happening while you're trying to accomplish another goal is great.
Yes.
Because you can have this fun Looney Tunes slap fight going on in the background while the non-martial characters are trying to get hold of the human potion that Yzma isn't giving them, or, trying to, like, put the bridge back up so that they can run across the bridge and go to the castle properly, or whatever.
Exactly. And so I think you want to make heavy use of the sort of 4th edition skill challenge idea of they have a thing they want to do. They want to get across the gorge or escape from jaguars, and there's, like, a certain number of successes they need. And then fighting can be like one of the ways they contribute. Can be like, once again, you're running along and there's guards chasing you, and the fighter and the barbarian are like smacking the guards on the head with rolling pins.
I just thought of this just now. This is live,
Right, baby.
It just occurred to me that, like, if you're listening to this and you're like, this sounds great, but I can't come up with complications on the fly, like I'm having a panic attack, I'm trying to think of coming up with, like, Looney Tunes style complications on the fly, you actually could use the wild magic table as inspiration. Of the, you know, the fireball goes off centered on you. If you roll that, then it's like, okay, yeah, you failed, you blew something up. You know, you whatever it is, like, you turn blue or whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, you failed.
Paint bucket drops
on you. Yeah,
that's good, yeah.
It'll give you a starting off point anyway if you're having trouble thinking of fun Looney Tunes complications, because wild magic is Looney Tunes.
Another thing is in the chase rules in the 2014 Dungeon Master's Guide, which the chase rules were not great in my opinion, but there were tables of complications. So there was like in the city one, they had like, you know, a fruit cart pulls in front of the, or like, you know, alley cat. Yeah, cabbage cart, my cabbages. Or like, you know, alley cats are fighting and you like trip and fall into the fight. Or like, so I think that could be a very easy, like, have either the wilderness or the urban chase complication table ready to go.
We tripped and fell into an alley cat fight for this podcast.
Heard some of it. And then final tip for this sort of like skill challenge, you know, big scene that you're trying to accomplish something, maybe even just escaping from jaguars. And that's allow unconventional roles. So, like, I think a great example of this is you have this scene where Kuzco and Pacha have to like go back to back to climb up out of the gorge. And a normal thing would be like, well, that's like an athletics check. Let's like a strength athletics check. But do something like allowing them to do wisdom insight. They just know it's really about them work. It's not about the athletic ability. It's about them working together.
Yes,
it's about their sort of internal unity and syncing up. So let them, you know, Pacha can make a wisdom insight check. And that's whether they'd succeed in getting up the gorge or not. All right, yeah. We'll put these in a write-up. I don't think it's going to be on the DMs Guild, but it will be...
It might be on the DMs Guild. It might be on our Patreon, TBD.
Yes. If it's not on the DMs Guild, it'll be on our Patreon for free.
There will be a link. There will be a link, regardless.
And so if you want to go like check this and have that as a reference document, you can. And if they have any ideas for Looney Tunes rules that are not lol, just play tune.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. How could they reach out to us?
Well, you can email us at wonderfulworldofdarklords@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Tumblr, or Patreon at Wonderful World of Darklords. And on YouTube, we are just Wonderful World of Darklord.
And in the spirit of April and Fools, in the spirit of Misrule, our proper full domain episode, if you were not aware, on the 13th is going to be a non-Disney property.
Yes, it is.
Give ourselves a little treat and let us do something else. And I think it's one we're both really excited about.
We are extremely excited about it because, this is the property that caused our tween daughter to discover boys.
Yes. And... speaking of that overturning of social hierarchies, that April fooling, this is also the month when we have our listeners' choice poll. So if you go in the show notes, there'll be a link. We have a poll. We've had our people on our Discord. Join our Patreon, get on the Discord. It's really cool. On the Discord, they have voted and they have nominated 4 properties to be our November episode. But the voting on those nominees, what's actually going to be the episode, that is now open to the public.
Yes.
And that is running through the end of April. So please follow the link and click on what you would like us to do for our November episode. And this is another probably way to do non-Disney properties.
Yes.
But not chosen by us, chosen by you, our dear listeners.
Yes.
And speaking of the write-up, which might be on our Patreon, might be on the DMs Guild, you can go to the DMs Guild and you can find the write-ups for all our domains. You can also find a number of works where I've adapted horror movies and some Disney movies. If you just search for Tom Kohler on the DMs Guild, you'll find them. And if you can also find some work we've done together talking about how to run more like spooky horror-themed stuff for younger players.
And speaking of spooky things for young people, I have a picture book, Mother Ghost, Nursery Rhymes for Little Monsters. It's exactly what it sounds like. 13 classic nursery rhymes rewritten to be about Halloween. And I also have several short stories for adults on my website, www.rachelkohler.com. Sadly, none of them were inspired by Emperor's New Groove.
No, sadly. Which is strange because it's demographically appropriate for us.
It is, yes.
Until next time, happy April Fool's Day. Thank you for listening, and happy gaming.
Parting thoughts. By using Silent Image to distract Kronk with an array of high-end cookware, I was able to sneak back into the palace and steal the human potion. Although, dangling an instant pot in front of him and then snatching it away is probably the cruelest thing I've ever done. Look, it's Emperor's New Groove. I can be as anachronistic as I want. As I entered the mists with a chef's hat as a talisman, I reflected on those mouth-watering spinach puffs. As simple-minded as Kronk may be, his culinary talents are extraordinary. I suppose this proves that the old adage is true. Anyone can cook. Regards, D.
You will have to excuse my voice. Skeever had the highly amusing idea to give me a fluffy kitten polymorph potion instead of my arcane cultivation elixir. And now I have some excellent news for my favorite little servant whose name I definitely remember. It's, S? No, that's not quite right, but close enough. Anyway, I'm going to be building a vacation castle in Salem, right on top of your house and your family's house. I'd mention your friends' houses as well, but we both know you don't have any of those. That spot gets just the right amount of sun for my elaborate swimming pool and 3-tiered water slide. Not to mention the view of Salem's historic waterfront. Lovely. It's my little present to myself for when I finally escape Darkon. I'm so happy.
This has been The Wonderful World of Darklords. We have no affiliation with Disney or Wizards of the Coast. All music recordings used in this episode are in the public domain and were obtained through museopen.org. Titles and links are in the show notes. Dialogue for Yensid was written by Aslan Rex himself, who you can follow on Tumblr at Darklord Aslan. The Wonderful World of Darklords logo was designed by Haylight Jones. You can find links to their work in the show notes. If you'd like to support the show, look for us on patreon.com or find our tip jar on Red Circle. Thanks for listening.
And that is a section we like to call
The Land?
The Land.
Okay, The Land.
I mean...
Is it in our outline? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. All right.